Welcome back to Pause and Respond. I'm Josua Rine, licensed professional counselor. Today we're talking about one of the most emotionally damaging patterns people confuse with maturity, and that's keeping the peace. Now, on the surface, peacekeeping sounds healthy. People say things like, I don't like conflict, or I'm trying to keep things calm. I just let things go and don't want drama. And sometimes that comes from wisdom, but many times it comes from fear. Fear of tension, rejection, disappointment, or conflict. And what people don't realize is that avoiding conflict externally often creates conflict internally. Because every unresolved frustration, every swallowed boundary, every minimized feeling still gets carried somewhere. And eventually, keeping the peace starts quietly destroying emotional connection. And that's what we're unpacking today. Because many people are not actually protecting their relationships through avoidance. They are slowly suffocating them through emotional dishonesty. Peacekeeping usually begins as self-protection. Some people grew up in environments where conflict felt dangerous, maybe was dangerous. Maybe that conflict meant yelling or rejection, punishment, chaos, withdrawal. Being in a status of just being unpredictable. So the nervous system adapted. They stayed quiet, agreeable. They try not to upset people or create tension. Very quick to smooth things over. And over time, that becomes identity. People start seeing themselves as easygoing, patient, laid back, maybe calling themselves low maintenance. But underneath that identity is often emotional abandonment. Because many peacekeepers are not asking, what do I honestly need? They're asking, what keeps everyone else comfortable? And that's a very different way of living. And eventually it becomes exhausting because the relationship starts revolving around the emotional management instead of emotional honesty. One of the biggest myths people believe in. If I don't bring it up, it won't affect the relationship. This idea is almost never true. Unspoken frustration still changes behavior. Unspoken disappointment still creates distance. And unspoken resentment still affects connection. People think they're hiding emotions better than they actually are, but emotions tend to leak. It leaks through tone, energy, our body language, our sarcasm, our coldness, sometimes our irritability or absence. This is why someone can technically say nothing's wrong, while emotionally the entire room feels different. Because the nervous system communicates what the mouth refuses to say. And over time, this creates confusion in relationships. One person feels tension, but no clarity. So now both people start guessing at how the other's feeling instead of just communicating. And that is where emotional disconnection begins. Resentment rarely starts loudly. It builds through accumulation. Small, repeated moments. Moments where somebody ignored what they felt in order to maintain temporary comfort. And at first people convince themselves that it's no big deal. But unresolved emotion compounds psychologically, and that's important. The nervous system tracks all of those unresolved experiences, especially the ones that we repeat. So eventually people start reacting only to their current moment. Now they're reacting to emotional buildup from dozens of previous moments too. And that's why people suddenly explode over what appears to be small little things. The small thing was simply the final layer of pressure. And this is incredibly common in marriages and long-term relationships. One person keeps swallowing frustrations, trying to avoid conflict. But eventually, they become emotionally exhausted. Then they go distant, and then they go numb. And then later, everybody says, what happened to the connection? Usually, honesty in the relationship and in communication disappeared long before the connection did. Real peace and emotional avoidance are not the same thing. Avoidance temporarily reduces anxiety. Peace, on the other hand, creates long-term clarity. Avoidance says, don't bring it up. Peace says, let's address this in a healthy way. Avoidance simply suppresses tension, while peace tries to resolve it. Avoidance creates emotional guessing, while peace creates emotional safety. And this is why emotionally healthy relationships are not conflict-free. They are honesty capable. There's a major difference. Healthy couples are not couples who never experience tension. They are couples who know how to address tension without feeling the need or action of destroying each other. That's emotional maturity, not pretending that nothing is wrong. A lot of people take pride in being easygoing, but sometimes that really just means I stopped communicating my needs. And over time, that creates identity confusion internally, because eventually people lose connection with what they actually want, feel, and need. They become externally adaptable while internally resentful. And this creates emotional imbalance in relationships. One person slowly overfunctions emotionally. The other person unknowingly becomes comfortable with the lack of honesty. Now the relationship begins operating around assumptions instead of the clarity that honesty brings. Assumptions create emotional instability. People cannot consistently meet needs that are never communicated honestly. Cannot happen. And for some reason, this surprises people. But healthy honesty actually creates a more emotional safety than emotional avoidance. Because honesty reduces the guessing. Honesty creates clarity. Honesty allows problems to be addressed while they're still manageable. And utilizing honesty over time builds trust, not because the difficult conversations feel comfortable, but because clarity creates predictability. And emotionally safe relationships are not built on pretending everything is okay. They're built on knowing simply that we can talk about things honestly without feeling the need or the actions of destroying each other. And that changes everything psychologically, because now the nervous system no longer has to constantly suppress emotion in order to maintain connection. This is where positive response changes the entire pattern. Instead of immediately suppressing frustration or emotionally exploding later, you simply pause. You identify what is actually happening internally. Then you communicate earlier and more clearly, not aggressively, but clearly. That may sound something like, honestly, I think I've been carrying frustration on this. I've been trying to avoid conflict, but I don't think it's helping. I need to communicate something before resentment builds. Those are statements of emotional maturity, not silence, not emotional shutdown, not pretending everything is fine while resentment quietly grows underneath the surface. The goal is not becoming more confrontational. The goal is just simply to become more honest, because honesty protects connection better than avoidance ever will. Avoidance only protects temporary comfort. Honesty protects long-term trust. And trust requires clarity, not perfection, but clarity. And that's what emotionally healthy relationships are built on. This week, I want you to notice where you are, keeping the peace at the expense of honesty. Where are you swallowing frustration instead of communicating clearly? Where are you avoiding discomfort while quietly building resentment? And where might calm honestly actually improve connection instead of threaten it? Awareness is always where change begins. If this episode connected with you, the new book, Pause and Respond, The Honesty Advantage just goes much deeper into emotional honesty, communication, resentment, and emotional intelligence. You can get the book, the workbooks, other Pause and Respond resources at pauseandrespond.com. And if this episode helped you, please share it with someone who constantly avoids conflict while still carrying too much internally. Because keeping the peace is not always keeping the relationship healthy. Sometimes it's slowly disconnecting it. This is Pause and Respond. Less reaction, more choice.